All right, hello everyone. Our lesson today is all about frogs by Norman MacCaig. So last time we had a lesson, we were finding out about the poem Sally by Phoebe Hesketh. So I just want you to pause the video now and just try and identify which of these six are examples of metaphors. Okay. So the examples of metaphors are just two. She was a dog rose kind of girl, and you felt the sun saved under her skin. The rest of them are literal phrases. So we're going to study a poem called Frogs today, and you're going to do some analysis of this poem in the lesson today. Hopefully you're going to enjoy this poem called Frogs. So this is the poem Frogs by Norman MacCaig. So I'm just going to read it to you now. Frogs sit more solid than anything sits. In mid-leap they are parachutists falling in a freefall. They die on roads with arms across their chests and heads high. I love frogs that sit like Buddha, that fall without parachutes, that die like Italian tenors. Above all, I love them because pursued in water, they never panic so much that they fail to make stylish triangles with their ballet dancers' legs. So that's the poem Frogs by Norman MacCaig. And you can read that. It's on a Word document for you to read as well. So we've been looking in our lessons about the concepts of tenor and vehicle. Tenor is the thing that's being described. Vehicle is the thing the tenor is being compared to. So a new concept that we're going to look at today is called ground. And the grounds are the things that the tenor and the vehicle have in common. So let's have a look at some examples of that just to make that clear. And then we're going to focus on the poem Frogs by Norman MacCaig. So if we think about understanding frogs, then MacCaig writes about different features of frogs in this poem, and that's what we call the tenor. So he talks about frogs leaping, he talks about frogs dying, he talks about frogs sitting, and he talks about frogs swimming. So these are things that frogs do in their lives. But what he does for each of these descriptions of frogs doing things, so leaping or dying or sitting or swimming, he uses a vehicle to compare that action to. And then we need to think about, right, the ground is, what do the tenor and the vehicle have in common? So I wonder now if you can pause it and just have a look at the poem and think, right, what does he compare frogs leaping to? What does he compare frogs dying to? What about frogs sitting? And what about frogs swimming? So the answers to this is frogs leaping is compared to parachutists falling in a freefall. Frogs dying is compared to Italian tenors. So a tenor is a type of singer. So an Italian tenor, for example, you would probably like on the, for example, the Go Compare advert. You know, you've got an Italian tenor. Why does he compare frogs dying to that? Frogs sitting is like a Buddha. And frog swimming is like ballet dancers. So why does he do that? So one of the things you've got to think about if you're choosing a really, really good metaphor is, well, why is that? So really there's got to be something that's similar between the tenor and the vehicle, and that's what's known as the grounds. So frogs leaping is like parachutists falling in a free fall. And the reason why they've got that in common is that both fly through the air with arms and legs stretched out. Both look exciting and dramatic. So if you look at a frog leaping, they often look quite dramatic. If you think about frogs dying, it's overly dramatic is what Norman MacCaig is saying in his poem, like an Italian tenor, like Pavarotti, for example. When he sang Nessun Dorma. Frog sitting is like a Buddha because both are calm and sit with their legs crossed. And frog swimming is like a ballet dancer. Both are very graceful, very skillful. And that you've got to start to think about, well, why has that metaphor actually been chosen? So how does Norman MacCaig describe frogs? So what you're going to do for your assignment this week is you're going to write a paragraph to answer the question above. So choose one of his metaphors, use the ground column from that table, and to explain what it tells you about how frogs move, sound, or behave. So you're going to write the topic sentence, you're going to make sure you introduce and provide a quotation, then explain what the quotation tells us about frogs. When you've done your paragraph, you're going to go through the checkpoint to make sure that you've done all those different things. So this is a model paragraph just to help you out. So I could say something in my work like, MacCaig describes frogs as graceful. This can be seen in the metaphor ballet dancer legs. Many people think of frogs as quite ugly, but this quotation helps us to see the frogs as beautiful. By comparing frogs to ballet dancers, MacCaig implies that the frogs are strong and elegant. He wants the reader to admire frogs as he emphasizes that they are naturally fast and flexible, when it takes human years of dedication to move in such a skillful way. So if you try and write a paragraph like that, don't just copy that one out, but write your own paragraph, and that shows you what I'm looking for. So that's your assignment to do. I've put it on a Word document so you can write it onto that Word document as well. Hand it in via assignments. If you get stuck, just ask for some help. But thanks for listening. Bye bye.